starting it? No.
Hi, Officer Polly here with us today. We're all geeked up to have our new guest in with us. Joe's going to do a little camera adjusting, so bear with us while we. Oh no, yeah. Oh, wait, yeah. Perfect. Well, anyway, welcome to What Are You Having tonight?
Number 12.
Episode number 12. We got a little housekeeping that we want to do. Make sure we thank everybody that's coming by and been shopping local. Thank you very much. And we are still open. Allison is available every day from, 10:30 to 6. 10:30 to 6. So if you need something, shoot us a message on Facebook, call us, reach out to one of us, let us know you need something. Just this last weekend, I delivered some wine to some friends of ours. They were all excited. So if you're looking for something, if you need something, let us know. So
curbside delivery, touchless or contactless is what it's called, right? Contactless delivery, whatever, we can work it out. So just let us know. Let Allison, by us, we mean Allison, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
I'll hear, I'll answer.
Yeah.
Except Sundays. I will not be here on a Sunday.
Right.
So.
Right.
And then on
unless
May...
it's $1,000 order, then we'll, one of us will be here on Sunday.
Still probably won't be Allison.
It'll be them. That's their job.
We'll make it happen.
And then on Monday we will be open fully.
Open in the bar side, we'll be following the CDC and local and state guidelines, of course, social distancing. You won't be able to sit more than 6 people at a table and things like that, just to keep it safe. That's what the governor wants, and we agree with him, and we'll do our best to keep things safe and healthy. Our staff will be ready. We'll have a place ready to go for you. So be a good time to get out and still support local. And get out of the house and drink the expensive stuff.
Right.
With that stimulus check.
Yeah, with that stimulus check. Use it. So today, our special guest is Mr. Cody. Say hi, Cody. There you go. Hi. He begged and begged and begged us and harangued us to get him to let us. No, I'm just kidding. He's a regular in here. I don't know if we're supposed to say that even, but he's been in here a time or two and is familiar with some whiskeys and bourbons, and he's a fan. And we thought we would invite him in to be our special guest today. So,
Well, tell us about you. Where are you from?
I am from DeSoto, Missouri.
But you already know, though?
Yeah.
Do you?
Little Billy. Throwing it back, I forgot. Yeah. I'm from DeSoto, Missouri, not Illinois. I don't know if it's any better or not. I've been down here. I went to school at SEMO and stayed down here. So I've been down here for 10 years or so now in the area. So
Family, kids?
I have a wife, 2 sons. So
Awesome.
busy all the time.
So tonight we're going to do some whiskeys.
Hey, how's it going?
Tell us how you got into whiskey.
Okay.
I don't know, just kind of, started out drinking, some Seagrams, Jack Daniels, when you get fancy,
stuff.
and then
with Coke and ice.
Yeah, mixed with soda, and then it kind of branched out into trying different bourbons on, some ice here, and then it was less ice, and now I prefer everything neat mostly.
Nice.
So.
And that's we were talking before we went live, and that's something kind of a training tool. People that may be scared of whiskey or bourbon, something they can do is, like you said, start out with a couple cubes of ice in there, because it changes the profile and changes the openness of it and the burn and things like that.
Or even like some people do the splash of water in it. So just depends, I guess, whatever you like.
We always tell people you're never wrong. You enjoy it the way you enjoy it, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Except for
beer,
the Coke and Pappy.
Yeah,
except for the Coke and the Pappy. Don't do that.
Then we will tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
We will be wrong then.
So today what we're tasting, kind of the theme with today's tasting, because we try and keep a theme with it. We're doing MGP products today. So we're gonna start out with 8 and Sand, and what MGP stands for is Midwest Grain Products. So they have this, they're kind of the Willy Wonka of bourbon. So they have a huge warehouse that stores a crap ton of bourbon.
Just a ton. They have just barrels
And
of bourbon.
so this is their bottom line bourbon that they have. It's 88 proof, so it's nothing too crazy, and it's.
But you can call them and specify your mash bill, right? Like you can get into,
Yeah.
and by mash
So
bill, you
like
mean
High West also uses MGP. Whistle Pig uses MGP products.
Jefferson's, I think.
Jefferson, I don't think does.
No, they don't. Okay.
But there's quite a few, like especially if you're trying to get going with
So you're
creating bourbon.
So you're talking about these different distilleries, right? So MGP,
This is their line.
right? So
Yep.
MGP also sells their
Their-
product to other people to make into their product, right?
Right.
So
And then they just age it.
And
how
they
it-
used
how
to
they-
not
yeah.
make their own.
right.
They were just like, everybody keeps using our barrels, so what are we doing here? Why do we keep making bourbon for other people? And then they finally said, okay, well, we're gonna make our own line. So this first one is 8 and Sand. I don't know the story with the train and stuff like that, but
I kind of read a little bit
Yeah.
on it. Apparently, it has something to do with their kind of support of the trains and train museum, and it was like a salute to the train industry, I believe.
really,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I don't know. It was
Well,
just a
the
quick
old,
Google
old
It's
number
interesting.
8.
No, yeah.
The old number 8 was always carrying sand.
Old number 8.
Old
Huh.
number 8 on the tracks up there in Indiana was always carrying sand from,
I can't
from
tell
the
if you're
quarry.
being
Yeah.
full of it.
Went back until the 30s, and then it blew up, and it went over the bridge that blew up. And
Yeah.
had some issues. Old number 8. They retired old number 8. They still
Well,
carry the
blew
sand.
up.
Elmer,
Yeah.
Elmer was the engineer, right?
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh, you
That's
don't know?
just crazy
Okay.
there.
We don't know the engineer. We don't know. So,
Don't know why
It
8
was
and Sand
Rufus.
either.
oh, it was Rufus.
So anyway, this is 8
Not
and
Remus.
Sand.
Not
It's-
Remus. That's a whole.
mistaken
We'll get to
with
that
Remus.
story in a minute.
That's a crazier story.
We're jumping
than the
ahead.
train.
Damn it, Tina.
So this is 88 proof, and it's probably pretty good. I actually haven't had it. So
No.
what do you get on the nose, Cody?
little caramel,
Yeah.
like a not like strong, but like a faint vanilla.
Oh,
Yeah.
Real
yeah.
faint though.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like yogurt almost. For that smell.
Not getting that, but okay.
Like the vanilla
No,
though,
okay,
like with
yeah.
the
Banana.
yeah,
bit of
maybe
a
that's
banana.
what it is, not yogurt.
Like a really ripe banana.
Yeah.
You don't drink it through your nose, Joe.
I got my nose in there that time.
So
It's only 88 proof.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got color, some wicked legs on this thing.
it's pretty good.
It's a lot of heat for 88 though.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah, it's.
Ready?
I see what you're saying. The heat. It's like your first taste of it there comes in with a little heat, but to me it just kind of
See, I'm
faded
going
off.
down.
I didn't get the heat. I got the I don't know. Hold on. There was.
Alright, 18 thing.
It's kind of faint. It's not their.
Yeah, it's not very stout, that's for sure.
It's pretty good.
It's more towards the finish. It's just
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
quick
on the
little,
back of the
yeah.
finish, there's a little bit of a leathery kind of oaky, more oak than anything. It's not like the brown sugar doesn't just pop out of this one. The vanilla doesn't pop out of this one.
You're getting like all of those though, like and
Yeah.
not one's really overpowering the other to me.
Right,
It's not
right.
like you're getting a ton of oak or caramel or.
The good
It's
thing,
kinda all
I think the good
balanced.
thing about it is the finish is drawn. I mean, it's a nice long finish. It doesn't just go away. There's like I'm still getting.
See you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The finish is still there for me, so I don't know. Cody,
Pretty good.
thumbs up, thumbs down.
I like it.
Joe,
Yeah, it's good.
Allison.
I liked it. I thought it was really good. For
Especially
88
for-
proof, I mean, that's, it's
Yeah.
got some heat on it.
More
We
than,
can't-
more than I expected, I guess. Maybe I was expecting.
What is the rule on talking about price? We can't.
I don't think we're allowed to.
Can we
This
do like
is
a
their lower end one. This is the cheapest one out of all of them.
Is
I
it
will say
under?
that.
Is it under $30?
Yes.
There you
So
go.
it's an under $30 bourbon. So for that, I think the value's there. I think for the
Absolutely.
fact that the proof is where you want it to be. It's not too hot. It's got some really nice little oak and wood notes in it, and some barrel spices, and a nice finish. So for an under $30 bourbon, remember the old number 8 engine.
We're right
8
over
and
that
sand
bridge.
is what it's called.
That bridge blew up, and that some bitch went down.
Alright. The next one that we're gonna try is for everybody else's first, I guess. The polite thing to do.
I don't know.
If a lady is pouring, is it polite? Is it still polite?
Screw you guys.
That's my girl.
That was not polite.
The apple does not fall far.
Not in this case. but my brother, on the other hand,
On the other hand.
totally different.
All right, Allison, so what do we have?
This is the George Remus bourbon. George Remus is a really famous bootlegger. He was kind of the king bootlegger out of Chicago. He did a
He
lot
was
of.
not a train engineer.
He was not. So George Remus worked for his uncle in a pharmacy, and then his uncle passed down the pharmacy to him,
Oh, Emily's on.
and then
What up?
And then Emily and Lynn both.
Yep. Hey.
And then
Jill and Gordon and Lori.
Cynthia.
Cynthia there? Yeah.
Yep. And so this is George Remus on the front here, but he ran his bootlegging out of the pharmacy, so which is kind of ironic considering bourbon was actually considered at one time. Yeah. So.
What did they tell us? Where were we? And they
Yeah,
said they,
so-
in the state of Kentucky.
We were at Woodford Reserve down
Yeah.
there, and they said that during Prohibition that they did. There was a couple distilleries that stayed around because it was
Buffalo
considered
Trace.
medicinal.
Yeah.
So you had to have a script for it, and they said that at the time there was only like 2 million people that lived in the state of Kentucky,
Yeah.
and they wrote 6 million scripts.
Annually.
So
So they were really healthy people.
everybody was
Yeah.
real healthy.
Everybody was sick. They needed a script.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Whichever
right.
way.
That's
It
right.
could go either way. Anyway.
So, George Remus, he was getting investigated by the feds,
Oh,
and
anyway.
and he up and moved to a town outside of Cincinnati, and I think it was like the FBI and some of the state troopers from Chicago actually came in and swooped in on him, and he had like 6,000 employees though at like the height of it all. So
Wow.
yeah, that's George Remus.
And this is also MGP juice.
Yes, all of it is it's MGP's bourbon. So this is actually like their label.
Gordon just gave us a history lesson on 8 and Sands.
Uh-oh. Good to know Gordon can Google things.
So this is a 94 proof, which is what we started with it next. So, or it's the second one, I guess.
So from 88 to 94.
Really kind of a light copper color on this
Yeah,
one.
it is pretty light.
It's definitely got some like super caramel notes on this one.
And some really big legs, which typically, Cody, what do the legs mean in a whiskey when you're looking at it? Is that the sweetness or the kind of the sugars that are slowly sliding down as the alcohol evaporates?
I don't know. I don't know the definition.
So normally when you see the creamier legs, like on a creamier bourbon or whiskey, when you swirl it in the glass, you'll see these real long legs start to run down as the alcohol evaporates. Those sugars are condensing on the side of the glass. Yeah, I see what you mean about the nose. Big caramel and baking spices. Ooh. Cinnamon.
hits both sides of the tongue.
That's pretty good too. I don't think they make a bad bourbon. I
Wow.
really don't.
The mouthfeel on it is super creamy.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Like, what-
Yeah, you get more of the spicy,
Yeah.
the spices that you talked about on the
Make it
nose, on this
spicy.
taste.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
when it first
like
hits-
super
yeah.
cinnamon. Whenever I had it, yeah, it was. And then
I
very.
got no burn.
Yeah. No, it's all right here in the mouth, but
Yeah.
it seems like it just coats everything like a real
That's
creamy.
what I was saying.
yeah.
Yeah, it goes.
Yeah,
the whole
Very
all the way
creamy
over,
texture
yeah.
to it. I like that. I enjoy that. The whiskeys that seem to be in bourbons that are the big. I've got a sweet tooth, and so a lot of vanilla and spices and creamier bourbons are my jam.
Yeah, I mean, when you finish that, it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no. I mean, the finish is done for me.
What proof did you say this is?
94.
94.
Man, that's in my wheelhouse right there.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like take a drink and let it sit there for a minute, so I get more of a linger on
Sure.
my tongue there.
Yeah.
But you get all that spice and that creamy texture you talked about. To me, it's more like thicker almost.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
The creamy, yeah.
So if 94 proof scared you, Cody, what would you do to chill that out? If you were a beginner or novice to whiskeys and bourbons, and you came in and said, "Hey, I'm going to try this. I saw the video. I'm going to give this Remus a try." What would you do to kind of make sure it was?
I mean, you can always, try putting a few ice cubes in it, let it sit there a little bit, give it a little swirl.
Do you do the big ice cube or?
You can do whatever you like. If you just want to change the temperature of it, I would do more of the big ice cube because it's not going to melt as quick. If you want it cold and diluted a little bit, then I would use a smaller ice cube or something. And
Yep.
if you just want it diluted and not really change the temperature, just like a little splash of tap water.
Yeah.
Because I'd actually be really curious to see what one rock in that did as far as really opening up the
Yeah.
flavors. Like it would kind of cool that
Makes a
creaminess
big
down
difference.
and make it-
For me, I've always found that one ice cube, we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
when you're starting out, 3 or 4 ice cubes maybe, but just one ice cube, not necessarily to make it easier to drink, but just because it just opens it up so much for me. But everybody's got their
Yeah.
own thing, so.
Yeah, and everybody's got a different palate.
Exactly.
Just because Ronnie tastes something doesn't mean you do,
Exactly.
and vice versa.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like that with anything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why there's, sours and IPAs and,
Yes.
all of that. So, which is kind of strange to me that you like sours,
Yeah.
that you like this stuff. But
I also I like IPAs.
yeah, I guess that's true.
But I'm not huge on stouts. Like there's a few.
See,
I
I would have assumed with your palate with this,
I like more like
stouts would be.
I like the bitterness of IPAs. I like
Yeah.
the bitter. But
You know
I'm
what's
kinda,
really
I
good?
like I like coffee too, black
Yeah,
coffee.
black coffee, there you go. Yeah.
You get
Okay.
more bitter there too.
Spicy wings and a hazy IPA. Freaking awesome.
Okay, there you go. That's a good point. Pairing wise, what would you do with whiskey or with like something like that? What would you pair that with?
Barbecue.
What kind?
Spicy barbecue.
I really don't know.
Spicy and spicy. I don't know. So I'm not good with the.
Joe says
I
this
would
would
say
go really
something
well with the
sweet,
Baron.
though.
With a Baron.
Yeah.
Wings, etc. is featured. Chicken
I
sandwich.
have a wings, etc. shirt on.
Hey, look at there.
Didn't mean to do that.
Rib
at all.
tips.
Rib tips would go well.
Rib tips would
Yeah,
go well.
rib tips would go
Some
well.
barbecue
Yeah.
sauce. I would almost pair it with something like sweet, so like that barbecue sauce or just ribs in general.
What
But-
about like some pancakes with maple syrup? Would you
Heck yeah!
That's gotta be sweet.
yeah!
What are you talking about? Stuck at home with the kids? Yeah.
No, yeah, you could totally do that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not
Just
not
like
much
that.
on knowing the pairings,
Mhm.
but I mean, if you like something, whatever you like
That's
to
it.
add it with.
That is
Or
it.
even like the loaded cowboy from Wings. Like
There you go.
big burger
Barbecue,
and
cheese,
barbecue.
onion,
Yeah,
onion ring.
like
Okay.
that would be really
Something to
good.
hold up with it.
Yeah.
And you talk about pairings. For me, it's more like the season. Like
True. Now that's
Like-
big. Yeah. Yeah.
like
You're right.
the summertime, I want like a beer.
Right.
Whereas the winter, colder months, I want a good glass of bourbon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the seasons in between, it just kind of depends on the day and what the
The
mood
day and
is.
the mood, right? Absolutely.
If you guys are out there in the inner world, send us a message. What would you pair with this? What do you pair with your whiskeys? That's always interesting.
Yeah.
Pizza? Is it barbecue? Is it
Well,
spaghetti?
pizza goes with anything.
Well, come on,
Let's not
I mean-
lose it for crap's sake.
But yeah, drop us a line. Tell us what you would pair with your whiskeys. Excuse me. Just gonna go ahead and get rid of that right there.
Don't get rid of this one.
I'm not getting rid of this one.
I'm pouring mine first this time.
Girl.
I'm excited.
So what is this?
So this is, I'm really bad about talking whenever I'm pouring. This is
Gotta
Remus
concentrate.
Volstead. The Volstead Act basically outlined what, that's really heavy.
That's what the cap on this is heavy. Have you grab that when it gets done there?
So the Volstead Act basically enacted the, what was it, the Prohibition Amendment. Was that the 18th Amendment? So
Was it 18?
Prohibition was 18. The
Yeah.
21st repealed it.
That's
repealed it, yeah. So this basically outlined everything that went into the Volstead, or into the 18th Amendment, and really enacted everything. So, and then of course, while the the Volstead Act was going on,
is that
George
pure gold?
Remus.
Yes.
That's heavy. It
For
is
what that
heavy.
bottle's worth, it's pure gold.
That is really heavy.
It's pure liquid gold.
So while the Volstead Act was going on and being enacted, and the prohibition was going on, George Remus was bootlegging. So it's kind of them poking fun at that a little bit. And then this is a bottled and bond 14-year. So
Which
it's,
is-
yeah. I mean, you can tell by the color on it.
Yeah.
This is just
You-
the difference
probably
alone.
can't see that.
You
Yeah.
typically don't see a 14-year-old bottled and bond.
No, that's pretty rare. So this was this
What
year.
does bottled and bond mean?
So there was a bunch of stipulations put forth. It was basically Colonel Edmund Haynes Taylor put this forth. I don't know, it was back in the early 1900s, like 1930 something, wasn't it?
And why is
After-
that name
after
familiar?
Because Colonel Taylor, Buffalo Trace, has a line of bourbons.
Makes
Colonel
them
Taylor.
fantastic.
They're very good. If you ever see them, I would try them. But
If you ever see them, come share.
definitely, they're hard to find nowadays. But there's different things. I believe Colonel Taylor was trying to like get a consistency in the bourbons, and there was different things that it had to meet to be considered bottled and bond. And one of the things that was it had to be 100 proof. So
Okay.
what they all are, I don't know.
Yeah, at
Without
I think
least-
it had your typical bourbon was it has to be aged 2 years. The bottled and bond was 4 years.
Or 4,
Yeah.
It had to be 100 proof,
It had
bottled
to
in
be.
the same season from the same
Yeah, it was something
distillery.
that had to be like financed through the federal government or something.
It has to
wasn't
do
That was the tax.
Yeah, it has to do with
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think not now, but back in the day, it was a way for you to pay your distillery tax.
Yeah.
So
Well,
instead of,
what
and
it-
then like they would get a cut from
What
whatever
it was to
it
Cody's point, was it was to keep consistency, because people were taking just regular
Random
juice
stuff.
and put it in there and say it was 100 proof, and then it may or may not be, it may
Right.
not be aged or certain. So if it was bottled and bonded, that told you that this was what it says it is.
Right.
So if it says it's 4 years and it's got to be 100 proof, that was one of the stipulations. But what that just proves that it is what it is, they say it is, instead of just some schlub.
And bottled
Juice
and
and
bond
bottle.
here lately has just exploded
you see
in what
everywhere coming
Yeah,
out.
I mean Havin Hill just released one.
Early
Uh,
times.
George, yeah,
Money. It's really
They
good.
say it's really good and
I've
it's
had
cheap.
it.
Yeah.
And if Kyle Mabius, if you're watching,
he's
he's
not
been.
on Facebook.
Oh, that's right. You can see it on YouTube though. If he's been doing some whiskey review or bourbon reviews, and he did Early Times. Barrel 131 sponsored him, and he gave it, I think, 4.5 stars. Like it's a
I've-
really solid.
I've heard
bourbon.
it's good. I haven't tried it, but
Yeah.
I did have the Heaven Hills one, and it was
And
really
then
good.
like here recently, the George Dickel one was really rated really well.
yeah, you've seen recently there's been a
1792.
big rise in
Yeah.
bottled and bond.
Yeah. So I think they're starting to put a little bit more stock into bottled and bond.
Well, they can add a little.
They're starting to care about it a
Yeah.
little more. So, because I mean, after you make the bourbon, it's like, okay, I don't have to mess with it. So,
All right, so back to heavy model cap
Yeah.
at hand.
So last year when this came out, they were comparing this to your Pappy of the year. So, and you could actually find it. So that's kind of the difference. So
The nose on this is completely different than the other two. The alcohol's not there.
Yeah.
No.
It's more just the sugars
Wow.
and spices and
Yeah.
vanillas and
Yeah, you definitely.
totally different. Night and day different.
On the Remus, you got like a little bit of heat on the nose. You could
Yeah,
tell it
from the-
was
from the
a
alcohol.
higher proof, which this being a bottle of wine being lower, you don't get that.
it smells awesome.
What do you think about the color code?
It's a lot darker. It's not as light.
And so from you went to Buffalo Trace. You were talking about this. One
No,
thing.
I haven't been.
Oh, you haven't been.
We're
Okay, so
going
one thing
to
that
go.
they do that's really cool on the tour is they have 4 barrels set up, and there's lights behind them, and they show you as a whiskey sits in a barrel, they show you the evaporation points, like a 2-year bourbon. You know, if the barrel is a circle laying on its side, after 2 years, there's this much bourbon in it. After 10 years, after 15 years, after so-
Like 6 years, a third of the barrel is gone.
right, and so you see the
To
liquid
Angel Share.
as the water evaporates out of it, or as it condenses, and the longer it sits in there, the darker the color gets, and it just becomes this rich amber color. And you can go too far, obviously
Right.
it can soak up too much of the oak or get too oaky for me anyway. There's probably some people out there that love oaky whiskeys, but it can soak up too much. But for a 14-year-old bourbon, I mean, there probably wasn't a lot in the barrel left, and
Right.
so to get a 14-year-old, this
Because at 12 years, half the barrel's gone. I mean,
Right.
at least.
right.
So
So that's where your real deep color, amber color, is going to come from.
there's like no burn on it. It's crazy. For it being 100 proof, it's as smooth as it gets.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, there's nothing there. It's just smooth.
Yeah, that's really nice.
You get all those same flavors again
Yeah.
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 that you can smell in the nose.
It kind of tastes like that they took this and just aged it longer.
Maybe it is.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that's worth.
Very well could be.
I have to research it.
Wow, that could be your. That's Christmas Eve right there. That's
Just top shelf.
that is top shelf stuff.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's probably one of the better whiskeys I've ever had.
Yeah, this is definitely not, something that you would buy every day.
The finish is just going on and on and on. I mean, it's still there.
Yeah.
Still enjoying it.
The flavor notes are there. Oh, that's cool. Somebody's doing their graduation pictures across the street.
What is she getting a picture of, though? The front door? Like,
To all the seniors out there,
Salud.
salute.
we'll drink one for you since you're not.
Right. Unless you're a college senior.
Yeah.
Senior in college.
Or senior citizen.
Or a senior citizen. For those seniors, we salute you.
Oh, somebody else that lives in my household today got something from the AARP.
Somebody else that lives in my house.
I don't want to say her name, but she was pissed.
And I don't live there anymore, so.
Well, it wouldn't be you anyway. It was a good point. And it wasn't the cat.
But anyway, this is.
Not yet, AARP.
Is this one going to be readily available, or is this going to be something that's coming?
No, this is going to be something that we might throw in if we can get it again, or if it does come out. I think they said that this is a limited release, though.
Yes.
Like it was just a one-time thing. But so last year was like the only time that you could get it. So while we
But
have it on our shelf, come
Yeah,
drink
it's
it.
projected the only time. It'll
Yeah.
It is.
Possibly
Yep.
available
It's
later.
behind the shelf.
Well, it was the 20th anniversary of the
Oh,
Wolfstead
right,
Act.
right.
So I think that's why.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
real good.
It's delicious. So
Commemorative.
An ounce under $20?
no,
Oh,
No.
an ounce under $40.
no,
No.
Oh, an ounce under
Are we under-
65?
yes.
Okay. Alright. So We're getting there.
So like I said, nothing that you would drink unless you're like a
So,
billionaire.
if we can
Nothing
get
you
your
would
credit
drink.
card, we'll go ahead and swipe
What
it.
I'm gonna need that card.
You guys didn't
We're
realize
gonna
that,
need
did you?
card.
Yeah.
By special, we mean you're buying.
All right.
So
All right. So, does anybody have any questions for Cody? Anything special? Anything we want to pick his brain about? You know, I know last time I was on here, I asked Bob what he sang while he washed his hands.
What do you say?
What do you sing when you wash your hands?
Nothing.
You're
You
smart
just
enough
count?
to just know that
Yeah,
I'm
just
watching.
count.
count. Just count.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and sometimes you're like counting, and it's like that was longer than 20 seconds.
I kind of drifted off about 15.
Yeah.
15.
Okay, right on, right on.
No, I don't sing.
16.
I don't sing. Count.
Okay.
Count.
Favorite dessert?
Ooh. Favorite dessert?
bourbon.
Yeah.
Bourbon does not count.
Doesn't count.
No.
I don't know. I just made some chocolate chip cookies. Those were really good.
Solid. Nothing
Homemade,
wrong with
or are we talking about
We
breaking
could've
Oh,
down?
aired-
no, homemade for sure.
Homemade?
That's
I'm
what he
all
was-
about, just
Talking
talking
about-
before we started, I've been doing some baking at home.
Okay.
Well, I always cook,
Yep.
but.
So
got
do
no
you
time
do you
to
listen
cook.
to the Bourbon Pursuit podcast?
I haven't.
It's an awesome podcast. It's what gets me through mowing my yard. It's
Oh.
fantastic. But there's a guy on there that always talks about like how you in studying these things. And Joe and I had this conversation when you're studying bourbons. It's hard to I taste nutmeg. I taste
Yeah.
caraway seeds. It smells like cinnamon. It smells like coriander.
I
It
don't
smells
even
like
know what caraway seeds
Exactly.
was.
right, exactly. So you don't unless you get in and start baking or
Yeah.
like a friend of ours, which thank you, Jenny. You guys are awesome, Jenny and Tyson. Shout out to you guys. They brought over a baked apple crisp the other night, and it was amazing. And I was just telling my wife, like, to just smell that,
Yeah.
and you smell the crust of it, and the
Yeah.
cinnamon, and the everything, the apples that are baked in there, and the sugar and the spices. It
There
was
was
just
The sugar, the
Phenomenal.
brown sugar.
Yes.
not
exactly.
bourbon related, but there was a winemaker and he has 2 small children, and they were like, "So do you like give wine to your kids?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "But we do a lot of baking, and whenever we bake something or cook something or whatever, like I'll ask them, what do you think? What does this taste like? What are you getting from it? What do you know?" And
Mhm.
that's a way to build their palate so that one day,
Yeah.
hopefully, they'll take over. I think it was Groth actually that they were talking to the winemaker from
You
Groth.
talked about the apple pie,
But it's
you know.
really interesting.
I didn't really start like baking much until probably like this earlier past fall, I guess. My wife and kids went apple picking one week and I was working and we had a ton of apples. I'm like, "What are you gonna do with these?" She's like, "I don't know." So I was like, "Let's make a pie." So I just found some kind of recipe I liked and
There you
moved
go.
it. And like you said, the different spices you use, like nutmeg, like if you don't use it baking, you're not gonna know it.
Not
Nutmeg.
gonna know
Yeah.
what that is.
You're
But
not
once
gonna-
you
you're not
smell
gonna-
nutmeg, like it's a very distinct smell.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
I think.
Well, and all right, so that experience of baking that pie and the smells and the tastes and the flavors from that, the next time you smell that in a bourbon, is that going to bring back some nostalgia? Is that going to bring back I remember my apple pie, I remember the caramelized apples, I remember the cinnamon.
Remember the kid spilling his piece on the carpet and you have to clean that up, you know?
No,
and all
no,
that.
that's what our dog does.
And it was really cool. Joe and I got to share a glass of wine not too long ago in an undisclosed location, and the Melka of them. And it was cool. He shared with me a story because I was asking.
I didn't
that.
get invited.
I was there was something we had to talk about or something. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Anyway, we were talking about that. We were talking about the smells and the tastes and the textures and what it brings back. And he was like, I said, "What was your favorite meal? Tell me about your favorite meal growing up. What brought that up?" I was blown away. You couldn't guess what Joe Hobbs' favorite meal is. And he said,
I
"Gosh,
bet
dang,"
she
and
could.
And he described it
I
and
think I
told
know
me
what
all
it
about
is.
it. And he said, "Man, I'm going to go home and have it." Left field, just lob one.
What
do you
was
think?
it?
See if you can come up with one, just
throw
one ingredient.
something out there.
And now, we were po, and so it was cheap.
Tuna casserole.
Ooh,
Close.
Close.
Look at that.
Close.
There was tuna involved.
There's tuna.
Hey, I got one ingredient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk
I know
about
exactly
it?
what it is.
Oh, it was tuna, macaroni and cheese, and boiled eggs.
Yep.
Every year for Lent, we just every Friday.
And
'Cause
toast, right?
That was no, you couldn't.
No, you
no,
couldn't.
We didn't do the toast. 'Cause
Okay.
That was shit on the shingle. That was.
Oh, I
other
got you,
times.
I got you, right.
It was a different product, but yeah, and I still have that today. So
Yep. Boiled eggs, macaroni and cheese, and cold
it's cold
with
with a little bit of salt on there.
tuna.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I tried to compare that to wine, and I went, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I got, I don't, never have I smelled whiskey or wine and said, oh man, I get
and
tuna and eggs.
Philippe would probably not be happy with that association.
Right, exactly. I was thinking I would get more of like a Thanksgiving and stuffing.
Not an
and,
answer to the question that you asked. I answered the
You
question.
did. It was.
You wanted
it
a
was
different answer, you should have asked a different question.
I-
So, can we talk about your dog? Are you able to, is that all right with you?
Yes,
It's just what you do, just because we're proud of you, and I
Yeah.
know you take it for granted a little bit probably, but we're proud of you, and
Oh,
we tease you and
No
stuff.
doubt.
I have a canine handler here, a 6-year-old German Shepherd named Benny.
Benny,
Yeah, he's a real good dog.
Hopefully you haven't met Benny, and if you have, hopefully it's on good terms.
I would say most people have met him on a good term. So
Yeah.
everybody
Just
loves
a
the dog.
handful of people have not.
He's a real good dog. He's a great asset to have. So. I don't
and
know
you
what-
and you keep him as a pet at home, right?
Yeah,
Also, right?
he
That's
lives,
how that works.
He lives with the family. He has his own separate area. He has a nice like mansion outside that he lives in. It's really nice. And then I mean he's a working dog. He's not a family pet, but he's still around the family. So we'll go walks as a family, and like I'll take him along, get him some exercise, get him to do something on days off, whatever. Because even though I'm off, he's still got to do something. He's still a dog, very high energy, always ready to work, wants to work. So,
That's cool. How is he around the kids?
so I try to limit interaction because one, still a dog, and what he's trained to do, I don't want any mishaps. But
Right.
as long as whatever my kid, my oldest son will help feed him and stuff. He'll help me get the food ready and stuff like
Right.
that. And they're around him, but it's
But it's very separated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Very
mean,
cool.
what he's trained to do and everything.
Now, are you getting ready to get some new digs?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It's-
That's a big deal.
I believe it's almost done.
Nice.
Yes.
I don't know exactly. I'm just waiting until we're going there, but
Nice. Very exciting.
it's close to done.
Yeah, real close, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't tell you how much we appreciate you.
Wow, I
And
appreciate
Thank
that.
you for what you do.
Cheers.
Salute.
Even though it's almost conflicting.
Yeah, there's not much in there.
Don't let that offend you. Ooh.
Yum.
We came back.
A little more. So again, thank you. This concludes episode 12 of What Are You Having? Thanks to Cody for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And don't forget, come get your juice. Come get whatever you need to get through the rest of this week.
Send us a message. Tell us how you're doing.
Let us know what's going on, and we'll be ready next Monday. Opening up at 2 o'clock, normal hours, back to normal hours. And we'll be ready to rock and roll. So
Awesome.
if you want to get out of the house and have a cocktail, come on. Social
After
distancing.
May 4th.
After May 4th, thank you, yes. And like I said, we'll be following all the guidelines that are put out by the state and all the officials that actually do know stuff. We're going to follow their guidelines, not make them up ourselves. So
Very cool.
thanks a bunch. Adios.
Yep.
Cheers.
Thank you guys. Yep. Cheers to you.
Hold on, don't say anything until I hit finish.